I think my number one value right now is I tell them slow and safe. You can do anything if you take your time. So I'm hoping that my words, some kids will take them and bring them into their lives later on. Like they'll remember, oh yeah, Coach Donna said we can do anything if we take our time. Enjoy the process, and every problem has a solution. So these are really the things that I'm teaching the little ones because I can't get into the philosophical conversations. Enjoy the process. Just go slow and enjoy it.
Florida's not just where we live, it's where we build legacies. Welcome to the Florida Forge podcast. This show is designed to celebrate the entrepreneurs shaping our state's future. Leaders who care about more than just profit. Why? Because the businesses we build today will define the Florida our children inherit tomorrow. I'm Gavin Elliott, a Florida business owner for over 25 years, and together, we'll uncover the grit, values, and vision that forge what's next in the great state of Florida. Hi there, everybody. Today we've got a treat for you on your show. We have a educator, mother, grandmother, entrepreneur, fellow alumni, Miss Donna Lewis here today, and we're really excited to get into who Donna is and find out what makes her tick, like all the other entrepreneurs we've had the pleasure of interviewing so far. So with that in mind, let's get going. Now, Donna, there's so much to talk about, Donna. I don't know where to begin. but let's start in talking about your business. Now, Guppies to Groupers. And the website is www.guppies2groupers.com. Tell me a little bit about guppies2groupers.com.
So Guppies to Groupers is a mobile swim coaching business. So we travel to other people's houses and community pools. And the ultimate goal is to reduce or stop accidental drowning, not just in South Florida, but everywhere. So our primary age group is around 2 years old, but I do start in the summertime at 12 months. And during the winter time, I start at 18 months. Just because of weather, and they're smaller, but they're swimming like fishes. Some of them are swimming across the pool at 17 months.
That's
And
cool.
we teach all the way up to grandmas, adults. That's why it's Guppies for babies to groupers for adults. So anywhere in between. Summer gets really busy with, after school kids looking for something to do. But the hits of the business, the real core of the business is teaching babies because they're going to fall, teaching them how to do dangerous things carefully.
Okay. Good. It's sort of like, and I have two kids myself. I know you have a number larger than that. You have 7. Yeah. Which we're going to touch on, trust me. But it's sort of like, I remember when I had my kids and they were very young, you have to child safety the whole house, Like
everything, right.
Sharp corners are avoided. The drawers where all your medicines are is locked. So, I mean, this is child safety locks for swimming. And I imagine...
Right.
Does this translate over not only to still bodies of water for like a pool, but if a kid wants to go into the ocean or something like that when they're a little bigger, does it help them there as well?
Absolutely, because I tell parents all the time, what to get for Pace Card approved, what to do when you're out in the open water. You have to be aware that there's sharks and alligators. Now there's crocodiles out there. You just have to be aware of these things. And if you're being a helicopter parent and doing everything for them, they have no idea what to do when. So, in other words, let's just say the water goes up their nose. They're stuck in the ocean and the water's up their nose because of the waves. They have to know how to get it out. So I teach them how to blow their nose.
No.
Things like that.
No, and I love that phrase, helicopter parent, because I'm older than you, but,
or snowplow. Yeah. I'm snowplow parent.
But when I was raised anyway, what ended up happening to me was, we had latchkey kids. Like now you have helicopter parents. Right. Our parents were like, just come home before dark and it's going to be okay.
Right, but everybody knew everybody. And the neighborhoods, we knew everybody. Today we don't know who our neighbors are. So it's so different.
No, I imagine it's like those scenes from the 50s TV shows or whatever where you will walk over to a new neighbor's door, and they have done some TV shows now, even though I don't think it's real, not in Florida.
Right.
And you'll knock on the door and be like, hi, neighbor, my name's Gavin, right? Now, let me ask.
Here's a dish. Yeah. A home-cooked dish.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's some cookies.
And I haven't done that in a very long time. Have you done that in a while?
No.
Yeah.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't know my neighbors' names. My oldest son does. but he goes around and does work in the neighborhood, but I don't know their names.
Yeah.
But growing up, I could tell you every single neighbor we had because we all looked out for each
No,
other.
same way. And we
So,
used to have, like neighborhood Halloween parties and things like that. Like it
oh my
was more
God,
of a
yeah,
community.
yeah, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
and you're definitely helping the community doing what you're doing. And one of the things that's interesting to me about this is, once again, I'm an older guy and turned 50 this year, and I remember the way I and my brothers were taught to swim is our dad would just throw us into the pool.
Throw us in.
And I'm not sure if he
Right.
intervened while we were nearly drowning. I mean, of course he did, but it's like,
It's like you're breathing.
yeah. I mean, has that like how has just throw them in and hope they don't drown changed to where you are today?
I mean, I'm strict in a loving way. I was like that in my classroom. So yes, you're gonna cry because you don't know me, but we're gonna work, and they're gonna go underwater because when you're swimming, you're going underwater. So we do all that stuff the first time. Parents will ask me, "You're gonna come throw them in, are you?" No, I'm not gonna throw them in until I absolutely know for certain that they're gonna get back to the wall. But they're gonna jump in. I'm going to assist them in throwing them in.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna do it carefully. I need to do something dangerous very carefully so they learn how to do it.
Very
Yes.
cool. Now you mentioned the purpose of the school to prevent, childhood drownings. Why did you decide to form this company to prevent that? Was there an individual event or something like that, or you just saw like,
Yes.
okay, please,
Well,
please go
yes,
on.
kind of. So, not well, yeah. So, kind of a neat person is somebody that I'm friends with. At first, when I first started this business, when I first started in the industry, I was just trying to make ends meet as a school teacher. So this is like my third job, working during the summer and after school, working for other companies. Um, so it was a way to be financially independent and to be able to be more present in my children's lives. So that was the first reason. Then as I started going and I started realizing that I was really good at this and it just came naturally to me. Like my business took off. It always says, take 2 years or 3 years to get your business going. Mine took off right away. And I knew immediately that it's what I was supposed to do. I do know somebody who, let's see, 5 years ago, um, mom and baby were sleeping. Baby got up for the first time ever, tried to open the door by herself, and she did. And she went out into the pool, and they found her. She had drowned,
Oh my God.
and she was 2.5. Yes, and I had shared breast milk with mom because this was my sixth baby and her first baby, and it was during the hurricane was coming when the babies were born. And she's like, I don't know what to do, and I said, if you don't mind, I don't mind. I will share. She's like, yes, please. And then poor Emma, 2.5 years later, and then I had the honor and the blessing of teaching the baby brother how to
Oh,
swim.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah, right. And then, just I just did more research. So my ultimate goal is to have like a drowning prevention headquarters, kind of like a Ronald McDonald House,
Okay.
where people their kids are sick and they come and they stay at the hotel. So imagine like a 4-story hotel, and it's all a swimming headquarters, and parents can come from other parts and stay and do like a 1 week drowning prevention class, and at least have some peace of mind when they leave.
No, that it's a worthwhile, and just to hear that, like I couldn't even imagine if what happened to Emma you mentioned happened to me, but like it's yeah, to have something to solve that problem is so important. Now, you mentioned on your, are you a for profit or you're a for profit, correct?
So that is a for-profit. I do have a non-for-profit, a non-profit organization called the Ohana Project.
Okay.
So I started that about 10 years ago, to mentor and advocate for parents who have lost their children to the system. So kids that are in DCF and foster care, and parents that will go to any lengths to get them back. Because in the state of Florida, there's resources or there's villages set up, but not necessarily villagers to walk these parents through the
Mm.
process. Parents that really want their kids back. And so I'm very, very familiar with the way family court works in South Florida. And so I would work with parents to tell them what to do, tell them how to document, show up to court for them if they needed someone to speak on their behalf. And then I lock the two together. So you can donate to scholarship fund through the nonprofit organization. And then we use those lessons to teach underprivileged children how to swim.
Okay. So when would that be? Does it involve foster kids or
Anybody.
anybody?
So I have one. Yeah, so I have one on the scholarship right now who is a foster child, but any parent who doesn't have the means to pay for swimming lessons, Broward County has a coupon where it's $40 that gets you not even one lesson. in most cases. At a city pool, it would get you like two, you
Yeah.
know. So $40 doesn't go far. So, but this is a full fund. So as a matter of fact, the family I was talking about, Emma's parents, donated to the fund. So, now I can give lessons to people who can't afford it. There's no reason why a child in Florida can't
No,
swim.
you know what's funny? My mom's from Ireland, and it's I guess the water's cold and terrible, but and then I know a
Yes.
lot of people from the Caribbean who have much better water who
Right.
like this as well. But they're on an
Right.
island surrounded by water. They don't know how to swim. I'm like, how do you grow up
Yes.
next to water
Yes.
and like just be like not going to touch that?
Yes. Right. There's a ton of Caribbeans who don't know how to
Yeah.
swim. People from the Caribbean who don't.
Now, do you find, like in Florida, for example, that most, I mean, obviously you're getting them very young, but is there still an issue with a lot of kids growing up and never learning how to swim?
Yes, absolutely. All the way into adults. There's a ton of adults, more adults now that don't know how to swim than children.
Yeah,
Yes. Just scared to death of putting their face in, just whatever the case may be. The what ifs, constant, and they don't know how. So, or they do the doggy paddle with their head, above the
yeah.
water.
No, I know
Yeah.
well. I
So,
no, and it's very. You mentioned something about helping with the system, and I recently had a conversation with someone on the. Tim Tebow is a big advocate for preventing child sex trafficking. I don't want to say for child, but for
mhm,
preventing it. And there's a lot of other people like
yeah.
that. And the conversation I had with an individual who was actually a female was very shocking to me on their perspective on the issue. And I was like, you know what? I got to start doing some good. So I've recently become a pro bono attorney ad litem for kids who are involved in DCF proceedings, sex trafficking, special needs, et cetera, like that. So
Yes, yes. I've gone through that guardian ad litem
yeah,
training. I just haven't had the time yet to really devote to it.
no, it's
It's a great cause. Being a guardian ad litem and speaking up for those kids is really important.
it is, and it was very like I went to Gibbons. You went to Gibbons too.
Right.
Like I'm
Right. Right.
Catholic. I'm obvious. I'm certainly nowhere approaching
Right.
perfect, but
Right. Right.
like not that I question God, but it bothers me the suffering of children. That's something that really like
Yes.
philosophically, religiously, everything intellectually, I can't wrap my head around how the
Yes.
universe allows that to happen. So you are doing good work in helping these kids do that with the scholarship fund. So where
Yeah. Thank you.
were you a swimmer in high school or anything like that?
Not in high school. I was a tennis player in high school. I've always been athletic. The water. I've always loved being out in the sun and being around water, not the beach, the pool.
Hmm.
Um, but I was not on the swim team, but I did start, helping out, teaching swimming and doing different lessons like through high school and then beyond, for extra money as a teenager and stuff. I've always just, I guess, the natural athleticism that comes with it, and just always I was an underwater swimmer just forever. And I remember my mom's been gone for about 10 years now, and she always would say, paddle, paddle, kick, kick, paddle, paddle, kick, kick, to teach us how to swim or to teach the grandkids how to swim. So now I've incorporated that into my business, and now I hear my mother every single day all day
Oh,
long.
that's
It's a song
awesome.
like paddle, paddle, kick, kick, reach and scoop. So,
No, that's super cool. And that
yeah,
that's keeping
yeah,
her a little piece of her alive still today, you know?
yeah,
That's well done
yeah.
for that. I got to figure something out with my
Thanks.
folks when they pass.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the real reason for success though is not just my athleticism or being able to figure out, what you have to do in water. It's really how I can connect to kids. I can connect toddlers my second language. Like I can connect to little ones so much better than I can connect with adults.
no, and that's part. And I want to touch on this. You mentioned you've been an educator
Yeah.
for quite a while now. What grades was it special needs regular? Like, could you let me know a little bit about your background as an educator, please?
Sure. So when I was at Gibbons, I remember leaving Father Charles's room
He
to
was so
go
good.
downstairs and get the. I loved him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. To get the letter, my father had paged me. Right, we had beepers back then, so I had to hide the beeper and I looked, but I knew it was coming. Anyways, long story short, I had a congressional nomination to the Air Force
Oh
Academy.
wow.
My goal, my dream, was to be a fighter pilot. Yep, Dad had other plans. And at the age of 17, I got pregnant with my first
Oh
baby,
wow.
and there went the Air Force, right? So yeah, I did things here and there. I was worked in the business, in the restaurant business, and did sales, and I've done everything. And then I was going to school for computer data and forensics. and I volunteered in my younger boys' daycare. And I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I totally changed my entire educational plan over to education and got out of the computers and just became a teacher from there.
All right.
So I love the older ones. I was middle school math and science
Okay.
for a long time. And then it's just, things happen in society today exponentially faster than they ever did. Like societal changes take days instead of years like they used to.
Terrifying.
And it's so bad. The entitlement and the mouths from the middle schoolers became a little bit too much. And I was offered a fourth grade position, and I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. So I finished. I had 5 years in fourth grade when I retired from teaching in 2022.
No, and I'll see this. I'm not going to comment on my own kids because I'd be super embarrassed if I did.
For them,
Yes. But like, you'll see kids outside yelling at their parents in public. And I mean, my mom would have whooped the living hell out of me if I would have ever tried anything like that. But I mean, there has, and maybe this is just anecdotal, but to me, there seems to have been this general erosion in the respect for the first commandment, which was honor thy mother and thy father. Now kids are looking at, I mean, and let me know your thoughts on this, because to me now it seems that kids basically think parents and kids are equal, is the same all the way across, and blah, blah, blah. Do you?
Well, no, they think they're better than the
Oh,
parents.
yeah. No, you're right.
They're not equal. They think they're better. And you ask any police officer, a police officer will tell you that society has made it now so that the children have all the rights and not the parents. Meaning, let's just say you have a really unruly child and you ask for assistance and the police come, parents will when they call, parent tells them what's going on, and the kid's unruly, throwing things or whatever, they will put them right back in the house. And the parent will go to jail if they try to argue. Like there's nothing. It's a whole nother podcast. Let's put
No,
it
it
that way.
is.
It's a whole other podcast.
And it seems to me that just the way things, and I don't know if it's a function of law, if it's a function of society, whatever the function is, but the ability of parents to be parents has been eroded. And it's just not there anymore. And that's unfortunate. But that's why, I mean, you were talking about how you have these hover parents who not want to control, but oversee everything. But you are, let me ask you that. Are there any, like my son does jujitsu, and there's always like sort of a moral lesson at the end of classes. Do you, well, there are two, I guess. Well, for the ones who can talk.
No, but see, we talk, we have conversations.
Yeah.
You do.
And
even the 2-year-old.
is there values incorporated into the program as well? And if so, let me know about that.
Yeah. So I think my number one value right now is I tell them slow and safe. You can do anything if you take your time. And what I'm hoping is, my father said this to me one time when I was a tennis player and, trying to get scholarships and playing tournaments. And he said, Donna, there will always be somebody better than you, and there will always be somebody worse than you. Well, he was talking about the tennis court. I have brought that into every aspect of my life growing up, no matter what the case, financial, spiritual, physical, there's always going to be somebody better, always somebody worse. So I'm hoping that my words, some kids will take them and bring them into their lives later on. Like they'll remember, oh yeah, Coach Donna said, we can do anything if we take our time. Enjoy the process. We take time to look at the squirrels and they've got screens and there's bugs and it's that, and every problem has a solution. So those are really the things that I'm teaching the little ones, because I can't get into the philosophical conversations. But just, enjoy the process. Just go slow and enjoy it. And then they swim beautifully. Just absolutely beautifully. And they're like, I'm like, you did it. So
Well, I'm gonna, and if you don't want to talk about this, we can move on. And you had your first child at 17. Like that is, I kind of, and I went to Gibbons as well. I'm older, but how was?
only by 2 years. I'll be 48.
Yeah, I
this year.
turned the big 50. But
Nice.
well, I was gonna have everyone think you were by looks 10 years younger. So like you ruined the illusion.
Oh, thanks. Well, thank you. Full transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. But how, like, did that experience, has that shaped you in how you conduct your business, how you conduct your life? Like, what was other than a beautiful child, what was the result of being so young and having to basically enter adulthood while having a child at the same time. How was that for you?
Yeah, so she was absolutely my first student. I actually came across a picture with me in the pool with her when she was 6 months old on a
Oh,
kickboard. So I use that actually. Um, it's so again, like I mentioned earlier, smooth seas do not make for skilled sailors, right? So I would not be where I am today if I didn't go through all the trials and tribulations that God put me through. And one of my philosophies is any question that starts with the word why is a lesson we haven't learned yet. So if I have to ask why, I haven't learned that lesson yet. So a couple of years ago, somebody said to me, Donna, I really love how God and your children are your foundation. And I said, you know what? And it hit me right then. I said, God is my foundation, but children are my purpose. And so you asking me that question today, you get a totally different answer than had you asked that like 3 years ago.
wow.
Because I wholeheartedly believe that every child that's put in front of me is my purpose. So getting onto like just a little bit of like spirituality, like my brother is big into aliens, so he believes in UFOs, and so he tries to teach people about things that we may not understand and other realms of consciousness. My husband knows everything about the Bible, so he tries to teach people through Bible stories and stuff. My goal is to teach these children. So my purpose is to work through the children, whether it was in the classroom, whether it's now in the pool, any child that I come into contact with. That is my purpose.
No, that's
So
fantastic.
I was meant to be a mother when I was a mother. And obviously I was meant to have all these
I
kids,
know.
all 9 of them. So,
And you know what? I looked over your details and I see the 2 plus 7, and my brain doesn't even process the two that are
I
on
know.
top of the 7. What's their age split? How
Yeah.
old's the oldest? How old's the youngest?
Okay, so I gave birth to 6, and then when I got married, he has 3 that are under the age of
Oh,
18. So we have 2 girls that are adults. Those are my biological, 29 and 20. And then we have 7 boys under the age of 18. So we have 2 17-year-olds right now. One is about to be 18 in August. 16, 10, 9, 7, and 5.
whew. You're
Yeah,
going through all the phases of childhood all at once.
all of them. And let me tell you, I'm so glad that the youngest are boys and not girls. They're too old for girl teenagers now.
Girls are, I love my daughter very much, and
I do
she's
too.
great. But girls are a different animal altogether. They really are.
Yeah, to go through those teen years, my girls are adults and we're best friends now, and took a while to get there. And
So
so
are
we get to do all the fun sports with the
and they're
boys.
all native Floridians, right?
They're all native Floridians. My 2 boys were born in New York, but we moved down. So I went to New York for a little
Okay.
while and came back because I tried everything to get out of the state of Florida. And now I'll never leave. My 2 boys were born there, but were raised here. And then my husband's children were born and raised in Jamaica.
Oh wow. Okay.
Hmm.
And what changed your mind from I need to leave Florida to I'm never leaving Florida? What brought about that change of mind?
Family, mostly. And then, I came back to my roots. And so I'm born and raised in Pompano. So I live in Pompano. Um, I don't know if you remember the show Sex in the City when Carrie got a different area code. It's like, I'm a 954 girl,
Yeah.
Um, and, we dabble in the idea of maybe buying a farm somewhere, Virginia or one of the Carolinas or something like that. But Florida will always be my home.
Did
So
you
Pompano will always be my home.
very specific? Now did
More specifically,
what Pompano has grown so much recently, and they're even putting up
oh my God.
that Ritz Carlton residence on the beach. It's insane. Do you? I mean, asking a local, a true local, been here their whole life. What's your thoughts on like this just massive change from a little surf town to New York on the coast?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
Oh man. So for a while they kept it so that it is still, the little town on the
Yeah.
coast, with the older people. There's no clubs on the beach, there's no restaurants that stay open till 2 in the morning on the beach. So I'm very thankful for that. There's a lot of people that I went to Gibbons with. We have our kids in the same little league teams and stuff. So, it's nice to see everyone. We're growing up together. Our kids are growing up together. But the amount of people, there is no infrastructure for the amount of people that are here. And when they start building on the beach and they have laws and guidelines that they have to follow, 6 stories high, that's as high as you can go. And then they start building and they stop. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be 26 stories high.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's not by
Yeah.
accident. You promised it was only going to be 6 stories. I don't like that when I come out off of my street onto Federal Highway, I can't see the sky anymore because there's another apartment building right
Yeah.
there. It's just, there's too many people. There's just not enough. And they made Atlantic Boulevard smaller
Yeah.
instead of bigger. And then the commissioners, the city commissioners, told somebody who was born and raised here, she was like, look, it's terrific, and I don't know what we're going to do. And there's just too many people born and raised in Fort Lauderdale. And they said, you should just move. You can't keep up with the times.
What?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah. I'm sorry, what? She's not keeping up with the times.
So urban congestion, all the ills that come with significant growth. She was basically told, get over it or leave.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And it's just the prices, you know, you've got 4 or 5 families living in a house because a 1 bedroom is $3,500 a month or, you know, whatever. It's just, that's why we were going towards the farm. You know, I could spend not even $500,000 and get 100 acres and a barn and 6 rooms and, you know, a finished basement.
No, it's nice. And I do like
So,
I'm divorced. I have 2 kids, but I feel like that old man because I go to the grocery store now and I'll be like, milk is
yeah.
$4.50. I really feel like the old person at those points in times.
I bought 3 chickens. I bought 3 chickens. I have 3 chickens in my backyard because I was like, you know, with everything going on crazy in society, I'm not going to be fully self sufficient. I'm not living off the grid, but I need to know how to provide more for my family, not just financially going to the grocery store. So if something were to happen, okay, how do we fix this? What's the solution? Every problem has a solution. What is it?
Yeah.
How do I do it? So,
No, and then, you know what? That's very important for an educator, in my opinion, as well. I remember Sister Lucida, who was the algebra teacher at Cardinal Gibbons, and I was getting an A in the class, but she literally took
right,
me outside after class and said, "Gavin, you're renting the information, you're not owning it," and it's that
right,
component of
yeah,
solution finding of
right.
and I guess well is that an aspect of the training that you do that kids are learned to deal they just don't get information, they get solutions.
They get solutions. Yeah. I think the clearest example I can tell you is that if a child's falling off the stairs, let them fall. You can guide them back, but don't pick them up and do it for them. The footing in water is totally different than footing on land, and they're dealing with steps, and some steps have tile, and you know, on and on. They have to know where to put their feet. They have to know what to grab onto. So there's the solution: how to get back to the stairs. If they fall off, you got to let them fall. You know, they're going to tumble in the water. You got to let them tumble and figure out how can they right themselves and get their head back up.
No, you're right. So I mean
So
it's critical thinking, but on a survival level
yeah,
basically.
honestly, it has to be instinctual. It has to become rote memory.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you wanted to be an Air Force. You wanted to fight in the Air Force. Was it the Top Gun movie that
Yeah.
did that? Like, what motivated you to do it?
It was Space Camp. It was Space Camp,
You went
actually.
to
Do you remember
space?
that
Oh, the
movie?
movie. Okay.
No, I wanted to go to Space Camp because of that movie, and all my friends went. And it was out in Texas. It was in Houston at NASA, and my parents went. Let me. I said, but all my friends are going, and I want to be the astronaut.
That's very cool.
No, it was the movie Space Camp. We watched it in science class in 6th grade, and the girl, so they get stuck in space, they fly off to space, and the girl was going to the Air Force to become a pilot, and she became the pilot on the station. So I was like, oh, there's my path. I'm going to go to the Air Force Academy. I'm going to become a pilot, and I'm going to fly space shuttles.
So can you have a kid and go to the Air Force
No,
Academy? No.
no, not then. Now you
Okay.
can. But even back then, no. So even if I had wanted to go into the reserves, I would have had to given up legal and physical custody of my daughter, like to my
God,
parents.
that.
And I said no. They would have given her back, you know, take her back, but it just wasn't. I wasn't supposed to
No,
go.
what a
That's all. I
Faustian
just wasn't
choice,
supposed to.
man. Your dream or your kid, like or Sophie's choice, as they say.
Right.
Like I,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure your daughter's very happy that you went the route you
Yeah, yeah,
did.
yeah. Right. Right. And it's for the longest time, you know, people say, "Oh, I live my life. I don't have any regrets." That was my one regret. Again, a couple years ago. But now with new perspectives, I don't have any
No,
regrets.
that's great.
I I did the congressional nomination. I went in front of Clay Shaw,
I
was the
remember
governor
Clay
at the
Shaw.
time. Yeah, so I had to go in front of him, and they looked at me as a woman and said, "What are you going to do when you want to get married and have children? You want to be a lieutenant? What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to have my career first."
Ooh,
And so that's how I got my nomination, right?
ooh.
Right? God was like, "No, that's not what's going to." But you know, it's a good thing because when I graduated, Gulf War was at the height. 91 through 95. And women were becoming prisoners of war. And then they weren't allowed to fly. They could fly helicopters, but they weren't flying fighter planes. They weren't allowed to in war. So it all happened the way it was supposed to.
Have you ever gone on like a simulator or anything like that for fighter jets?
No, believe it or not, I've never taken a flight lesson.
I would be super curious.
I've never. Yeah, I know. It's ironic almost, but I don't. And my husband wants to be a pilot, and I got him gift certificates, but I'm like, I'm going to stay on the ground.
See, and what's crazy,
We're both not going up.
you were all Navy, you were all Air Force before, and now you're like the Navy practically. So like
Yeah,
you really
right.
switched gears
Right.
there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then my daughter went to the army.
Oh wow,
So,
really? Is she still
yeah, the
is
20
she
year old.
still in the military? Oh,
No,
she's out now.
no, she's out now. Yeah. She, 14 months, I think she had her, well, she was stationed in Honolulu. So, but she says it's nothing like we see, like we see all the touristy stuff and the bright flowers, and she's nothing like that. And all the touristy things are so expensive, and it's an island, so eggs are like $10 a carton. And yeah, so
No, that's cool. And your story about the like to be fair, one side chosen adversity that you face is it is distressing, and it is a reflection of the times because back then guys weren't still even expected to be active fathers. And I have this phrase called
right,
and I ask you this in the context of your father. I call them '70s dads,
right,
where they like go to
right, right, right,
work, barely interact with you until you're doing sports, and then like they're
right,
all in. Like,
right, right.
well,
I was just gonna say, wait a minute. My dad went to all my tennis tournaments, but you just said until sports.
yeah.
No, my dad was really present. He was on all of our vacations and all the holidays, all the birthdays. Matter of fact, so I was born in the '70s, and my mother worked during the day, and my father worked at night. So my dad would watch us during the day, and then they flip flop. So my dad was very present.
Oh, that's awesome. You're very lucky. I mean,
Yeah, I am. I am.
I think that it's different for fathers now. At least the ones I know. One of my buddies was the head of the Girl Scout troop for his daughters. Like so, yeah.
Nice.
Dads
Yeah.
are super involved. You know what it is? I think in our generation, a lot of them might have learned that we just want to do a little different.
And women started going back to
Yeah,
work. So, and then women started speaking up.
yeah.
Like,
No,
I'm going to
absolutely.
work too because things are too expensive. So, if we're both going to work, we both have to help. So it was, yeah, definitely a culmination of things with that
And,
one.
and you know what's crazy about that? You would figure that families in America existing on one income, that you put another income in there and everything would become more affordable. No, they just jack the price up to like two family incomes basically, which is
They
yeah,
did. They did. And they make us believe that we need more stuff. So we're always after the stuff. And then, oh, I have more money. Let's go on another vacation.
yeah.
Which is actually, I wouldn't say that because I'd like to travel and see things. If I'm going to spend my money on anything, it's definitely traveling with the kids. Um, but yeah, it's like, hey, well, let's get a bigger house. Let's get a bigger car. We're in a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom. And I've tried for 3 years now to get out of this house and get in something bigger. And something always happens. And we are the closest being in this small space. So it's like, I don't need something big. We don't need something bigger
No,
all the time.
no. My
We don't need
my mom
more.
was one of 11 on a farm in Ireland, and I went to the original space, and I think the grandparents lived there at the same time, and I don't understand how it was
It was like,
doable. You know.
like Willy Wonka house where everybody's sleeping in the same bed.
Exactly. I mean, that's a
Like,
very good
yeah,
analogy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
so
Yeah, no, we really don't. It's kind of like a social experiment. So I have a Honda Pilot, seats 8, right? My car was getting fixed. They're like, we don't have anything that big. I said, like, 5 seatbelts, 4 seatbelts is enough. I don't have all of them at the same time. They gave me a little Toyota Corolla or something like that. So I'm like, oh my God, there's gonna be so much fighting because they fight in the pilot. They're sitting in my spot. It was the best social experiment I have ever done. My two teenage boys who usually hate each other were talking, talking, talking. Everybody was in conversation. Everybody got along. Everybody respected each other's space. So we don't need more.
No, no, you don't. So I want to ask, you touched a bit on, being a teacher, but what really motivated you to want to become a teacher? Like what principle or anything like that?
So I first decided to switch to teaching when I volunteered at my son's daycare. I loved being in the room surrounded by all the children. And they all have these little innocent faces and they're so curious and asking all these questions. It was in a daycare. That's what made me go back to teaching.
Okay.
And so my first classroom was kindergarten. But as I got through my studies, and I guess it's true. They say those who can't teach it, those who can't do it, teach
Yeah.
it. Right. So I ended up, teaching math and science. So earth and space science I taught. So if I can't go there, I'll teach you about it. So I really loved the challenge of the curriculum and the students in middle school.
Okay.
Those questions and those conversations. I guess I always loved having the challenge. Just, what can we do? All right, now you learn that. So now there's always something more to learn. It was always a challenge presented. And, a lot of these kids don't have solid homes. It doesn't matter if they're in a private school. It doesn't matter if they're just in a public school. They don't have, some of them, the support at home. And as a middle schooler, their feelings and their emotions are all over the place. Like they could have been the most trustworthy, responsible kid. And the minute they go through puberty, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? So I really enjoyed, I had started a journal thing where they had to write in their notebooks every day. And I would secretly comment on it and just give it back to them. And I never said anything to the class. And eventually they started writing back. And they knew that it was private, so I never talked about it. So we'd have our own little space. So really connecting with the kids. It wasn't so much about curriculum, because how much about what you learned in high school do you still use or know or talk
Not a
about?
ton.
Not a
Yeah.
lot. But you remember the teachers.
Absolutely. Father Charles, I definitely remember.
You remember the teachers. Yeah, right?
He used to smoke.
Brother Ferris.
Yeah.
Do you remember Brother
Yeah.
Ferris?
Listen, what was the name of the religion teacher who was like always super happy? Kubis. Kubis, was it?
Kubis.
Yeah.
Oh, my son has Kubis now.
He was so
He's
positive.
still there. Yeah.
He allowed us to nerd out
still
and
there.
watch. He's still there?
Yeah, he's got my son in his
Well,
class.
he was young-ish though, but he does watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which was great fun.
Right. Right. And the super soakers in the classroom.
Yeah.
The water guns. If he fell asleep, he would super soak you.
No, he was a really good teacher. Now there was actually this funny instance before I became a lawyer where, based upon the structure of language in a car contract, I got a car dealership to give me a better deal than they were supposedly giving me, and my buddy Aaron will vouch for that. Now, so people say it about me, and I honestly do believe it. I was a lawyer before I was a lawyer.
From the get-go.
Now, do you feel that you were a teacher before you were a teacher, or is it a role? Of course, the art always requires evolution, but just the idea of being a teacher. Were you a teacher before you became a teacher?
I was definitely a nurturer. I think teachers are more nurturing than they are teachers, so to speak. But yes, there is some sort of personality that goes into teaching, but I was definitely a nurturer. Babysat, paid for plane tickets when I was 12 for my babysitting money. I was the oldest of 3 in the household. So my younger sister was 4 years younger. And then my brother was 8 years younger. So I was like a second mom to my brother. So yeah, I was always, teaching him how to tie his shoes and helping him put his stuff away. But again, it's more the connection. It's more the vibe. It's the energy. The energy that I have is more approachable to a child. So like I'll be at a park and there's, random little toddlers will stop and they'll look at me and they'll wave at me and I just, I just have the vibe.
No, that's awesome.
I guess now.
No, that reflects a very positive energy, in my opinion, a very positive energy.
Yeah.
Now there's this, in your business dealings, I know you've touched on some difficulties you face in life, but there's this line from the movie Rocky: "It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and get back up." What's an example in your life of like getting knocked down and just pulling yourself back up into life?
Tools. So I guess to touch on it briefly, I was one of those women who was addicted to codependency. Um, and I went through a very traumatic time of my life about 10 years ago. And I had to start over from scratch. I had to completely and totally restructure my thinking. Um, I had to earn everything back. I had to change my perspective. I had to be, build a stronger relationship with my God, who is now my best friend. So, um, life experiences that you shouldn't necessarily have to go through have built and shaped who I am. But I was determined to do whatever it took to make my life better and not for myself. So I was putting my mask on. So therefore I could then put the mask on my children, the old airplane
Yeah, yeah.
adage. So I was fixing my life in order to make my children's life better. Um, it was a very selfish time 10 years ago, 12 years ago that I was going through just because I had the kids and went to the PTO meetings and showed up to the parent teacher conferences and Little League doesn't mean that I wasn't behaving selfishly in other areas. And so now they are my entire focus. Within, I'm not hovering over them, but we're definitely spending a lot more quality time on listening to them. Now I know that really the only true solution to any parenting issue that you and your child are going through is just ultimate love. You show your child that you love them, no matter how that presents itself, the behavior will fix itself.
Wow, that is. I'm not gonna lie. That one can be tough to do. What?
Oh, extremely. It's so much easier said than done. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I have teenagers.
yeah. When they're coming at you,
Yeah.
like it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
But who's the bigger person? Who's the parent? Who's the child? And children don't learn by what you tell them. I could speak till I'm blue in the face in the classroom, but if I'm not writing it on the board, they're not going to understand it. If I'm not doing the math problem on the board, it's the same thing parenting. If I'm preaching something different than what I'm doing, then they're going to follow what they see. And so if I walk away from a situation, eventually they may walk away from an argument that doesn't need to be had. So don't get me wrong. They've called me names. They have pushed my buttons. I am not perfect. I have screamed. I have yelled. I have gone through all of that in my 30 years of parenting. But right now, really, the ultimate fix all is just showing them love.
now, do your kids ever get involved with guppies to groupers? Are they teachers themselves, or do they help? Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So my 20-year-old daughter is one of my coaches. She's my most experienced. She's my training coach. She has a full-time job in a classroom with 2-year-olds, and then she works for me after school and weekends. My 17-year-old son used to come with me before he got his driver's license to do group lessons. So he'd be in the pool with me. He just got his driver's license and has his own truck. So I'm letting him do his thing before I say you got to work for mom. But but he's an entrepreneur, so he watched me build this business, and he was able to buy his truck cash and also a year's worth of insurance and have money left over
Wow.
because he's an entrepreneur also. Yeah, he's been doing his own thing since he was 12.
So let me ask you this question then. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. There's an argument for it's genetic. I mean, certainly. Do you think people can be made into entrepreneurs, or do you think there's a fundamental aspect of an individual, like risk willingness, if you would, or things like that allow it? Like, what is it, genetic, or can it be taught? Is, I guess, the question, or a mix.
I think it's definitely a mix. I think the number one thing is you're not going to be a successful entrepreneur unless it's your passion. So I've tried, a number of things, a gamut of things, whether it was the pyramid scheme or the house parties or, wanting to open a restaurant or, all of those things. But like I said, children were my purpose. And when I put the two together, I didn't want to leave the classroom. Class teaching was my passion. But after COVID, it became a paycheck. And it's like, I'm just not happy anymore. So now I get to mix the two. I'm still teaching. It's got to be a combination between something you're good at, something you're passionate about, and then genetics play a factor. Like, how much common sense do you have? Can you, like with this business, I have to figure out logistics and scheduling. And am I going to Parkland or am I going to Pompano? Or am I going to downtown Fort Lauderdale? And, how do I schedule that? How do I answer the phone and run payroll and do all the appointments all by myself? So, the organizing aspect and those aspects, I think that's innate. That's something you're born with.
Okay.
But again, if you can delegate and properly, and you can pay someone to do those things smartly, then you can do it.
So did you obtain the knowledge of being an entrepreneur, your own CEO, through trial by fire, or did you study upon it, or was it a mix of the two? How did you become the successful business you are now with the business side of it, not the actual
Right.
service side of it?
So just relating that to my own business, it was research, it was practice, and trial and error. So that's the short answer. I worked for another company. I did the math in my head of what she charges for lessons and how many lessons are going on at the same time. And I was like, whoa, and this is how much you're paying me? So I did that math. Then I did research on other companies. Well, how much are other companies charging? What's my competition? I came in somewhere in the middle, but all of my success is word of mouth.
Oh,
I don't advertise anywhere. Um, so it was like, trial by error. At first, I was driving all over the place. I was like, Parkland, Pompano, Parkland, Fort Lauderdale, back to Parkland, just to get the business in. And I was like, no, I don't have to do this. I started my own business, so I don't have to do this. And then you get smart about it.
cool. So what is your vision of growth for Guppies Two Groupers? I'm not going to say a year, 5 years. I'm not going to put a specific time on it, but I know you mentioned the thing akin to the McDonald's house on the not-for-profit side, but you have mentioned wanting this to be like a program that has broader reach. So what is your vision for the broader reach of your company?
Um, Sort of like everybody knows when ISR, or everybody correlates ISR with floating and that type of survival mechanisms for swimming. I would like to, I would like this to be a household, not name, but like, oh, how do we get our kids to survive if they were to fall in the water, and this become, something that everybody knows about, that everybody can teach to their kids, or at least point somebody in the direction like, hey, if it's not Guppies to Groupers, this other company is doing the same thing, or this other swim instructor is really good at doing what Guppies to Groupers does. So, let's do this. It works. And it works in a very short period of time. You don't have to have lessons for years. I can get kids to swim in 5 days.
That's impressive.
So,
Now, what is ISR? I don't know what ISR is. What is that?
so ISR is primarily floating, where you can have a baby under the age of 12 months fall into the water and instinctually roll over and float. But the problem is they're just floating. And not that, I mean, they're breathing, but let's say they're in open water and they're just floating. They're not swimming anywhere. They don't know where they're going. So it's Infant Safety
Okay.
Resources is what it stands for. And the man who created ISR saw that kids in his neighborhood were drowning and wanted to put a stop to it. Same as me, wants to put a stop to accidental drowning. So he starts teaching these kids these methods on how to float. And he would do it in 10-minute sessions a couple times a week, and then they would float. And he had kids on waiting lists, and one of the kids drowned while they were on the waiting list before they could get to him for lessons. Now we're going back, 30 years or whatever. So he started teaching and hiring other people to do this. It's all the same. We're all teaching the kids how to get back to the wall. We're teaching them how to paddle their arms. We're teaching them how to kick their feet. My primary focus is fall in, turn around, swim back to the wall. Do you know how to float? Yes. But when you feel that wall, you know how to turn over and get to it. Or you know how to turn over and right yourself, and you can visually see there's the wall. I got to float for another second, or I'm going to swim there. So it's just basically, it's all instinct, get back to the wall. So they jump in, back to the wall. They get a toy, back to the wall. Everything is back to safety.
All right. So it's sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong in my paraphrase, but you want your methodology, your system to become like a nationally recognized standard system for child water safety. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I want it to be a household thing.
Okay.
Like no child should ever have accidental drowning. So how do we do it? We teach this. We teach this. We teach this. Give me the credit. Don't give me the credit. But know how to save your kid.
Okay.
Know how to teach them how to save themselves.
Well, no, and that's fantastic. And I mean, the amount of lives that could be saved if it was uniformly applied is amazing. A question that's dumb because I just don't know: can all children learn how to swim?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
So I teach. Yeah. So I teach all over the spectrum. I have kids who are nonverbal. I have Down syndrome, students, any child can learn how to swim. It doesn't matter their level of sensory issues, for lack of a better term. Whether it bothers them to go underwater or open their eyes, we can teach them survival techniques.
Okay.
They can all swim, and then eventually it may take a little bit longer for them, but they will learn how to enjoy it too.
Well, and I imagine for special needs people with certain levels of autism and with Down syndrome, do you ever see like a sense of accomplishment or anything like that coming from or any kid for that matter, from the lessons?
Absolutely, all the time, especially the kids, where there's an obvious diversity that the parents are dealing with. And the parents get teary eyed, the parents cry, and then I cry. My first, my first nonverbal autistic child, she just thought that he was never going to swim. And I just kept saying, Mom, he's going to swim. I promise. He's going to swim. It's okay. And they're very much so. I would turn on his back while he was underwater and say, 1, 2, breathe. They're very rhythmic, 1, 2, breathe. Until he would get the idea of that and I'd lift him up. And then he just started swimming. You couldn't get him out from the bottom of the pool. And she came out in tears. Oh my God, it's swimming. And I'm like, yes,
Wow,
he's
that's
swimming.
beautiful. Now, the idea of the Florida Forge podcast is to talk to business owners, learn about what's their secrets to success and who they are as a people. And I will say, you continue this trend that I have of no one born with a silver spoon making their own way. And I have the highest respect for anyone who does it. For people who do it otherwise, I have respect for too. But just coming from nothing, it's a different battle.
It's a totally different vibe. Yeah.
Now, so the idea of this show is about legacy. Well, firstly, it's about this concept of a forge, steel strengthening steel, like business owners talking and letting other business owners know what works. But it's about legacy as well. So what do you when many years from now, Donna passes from this world, and her legacy is on view before this world? What does Donna want her legacy to be?
Well, first what comes to my mind immediately when you say that is be like, Coach Donna was my swim coach when I was little.
No, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I had Coach Donna. I had Coach Donna when I was little. Yeah, you had Coach Donna. So that's what comes first and foremost. Just I get to be a part of these children's and parents' core memories for their entire lives.
Awesome.
And then knowing and passing along, like whoever takes this on, if my kids take this on, or if I sell the business, or if I teach somebody else how to do it, we're not just teaching them how to swim. We're teaching them how to enjoy the process of something. We're teaching them how to slow down and notice nature. Everything opposite of what society is teaching us to do now. Everybody's, all go,
Yeah.
go, 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 go. And I want to reach these children when they're young to teach them to enjoy, teach them to pay attention to your surroundings. Look at the squirrel, look at the bugs, whatever it is. Ask your innocent questions without any thought of it having a repercussion like, oh, that was mean. No, you're a child. That's innocent. Why can't you ask
Yeah.
that? The legacy is really a lifelong legacy. It's a lifelong learning. Did you take what I taught you in the pool and apply that to other areas of your life? I know how to do this because Coach Donna was my coach. I know how to do this, or I was successful at this because Coach Donna told me to slow down.
No, that's awesome.
Things
And
like
that's an
that.
amazing legacy. Now, there are some cultures, and I can't remember which ones, but they have this concept that as long as you're still being spoken about, you're still for all intents and purposes here. So that is,
Right,
I mean,
right,
what you
right.
described is like a very foundational element of a legacy. So that's awesome. Now, I just want to touch on one more topic. You you,
That's
you
okay.
said that you're a person of faith. You're a person of faith. How does
Right.
your faith come into play in the context of your business?
So obviously, I don't speak about it too much, but our purpose on this planet, I believe, is to spread the word of God, show kindness. So my level of patience with these kids, my level of connection with them, no matter what your diversity is, it's all subliminal and it's all subconsciously given to them. So I'm not speaking about my faith, but I try to act on it every single day. Like no matter who's in. It's so funny. I have the utmost patience with these kids and with these parents, but you bring me back into my house and I'm like, why didn't you do the dishes?
It's different.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah. Instead of preaching the spirituality, or like even if a parent is frazzled and doesn't know what to do, and she's having a hard time because the baby's crying and whatever, I try to give her words of advice without her knowing that it's coming from a spiritual perspective. Just because I want to respect everybody and I don't
Yeah.
know what their background or belief is, but I still try to voice it and teach it through my own
You,
speakings
you,
as best as I
no.
can.
So would it be fair to say
As
you're
best,
giving the lessons without the source, if you would?
right, right,
No,
right,
that's
right.
awesome. And
right.
I, being Catholic, being any religion can be complicated, but I very much believe that one of the, like running up into someone's face and yelling at them doesn't work super well. But
Right. That's a little
yeah,
confession.
no, exactly.
right.
But like
Right.
leading by example and shining your light as to, which is basically the Holy Spirit's light coming through you. And then
Right.
without referring to sources, giving the positive messages. Yeah, that's point on. That's
Right.
really on point.
Right. And I'm teaching the kids, I get to their level. I tell all my coaches, if you're talking to a parent and the child comes up to you and says, coach, 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 you stop talking to the parent and give your attention to the child. Kneel down in front of them and be on eye level with them. They need to know that they're just as important as a matter of fact, for the swimming lesson, they're the most important person that is there.
You know what?
And
Sorry, this
yeah.
reminds me of this Bible verse. Like your whole, and you were passing this Bible verse with flying colors, but something to the effect of whatsoever. And I'm not going to paraphrase badly, but like the apostles were pulling the kids away from Jesus, and Jesus like, I
right,
mean, I
right,
guess
right,
Jesus
right,
didn't swear,
right,
but he said, whatever are you doing?
right.
Bring the little
What are you
children
doing?
unto
Yeah.
me, and whatsoever you do for the least of my children, so you do unto me. So
Right. They are our future. As a classroom teacher, we are exposing them to things so that they can decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives. It was because that teacher played that movie in science class and I decided I want to be an astronaut.
it's crazy.
We are the
Yeah,
ones that help you, right? Yeah. But think about it. The things that you learn about in school, what are you interested in? If you were interested in debate, you're going to go become a lawyer or, however you got there. It's the same thing. So they are absolutely the most important. And just to touch real quick on what you said on leading by example. So I've had this heightened path of spirituality for the past 10 years. And I've shared it with my children. I tell them what I'm doing. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in, living one with the universe and God is my higher power. But I don't force it down their throats. They've watched me. And when they ask me, well, why did this happen? And I tell them what I did. And I tell them how I got there. I wrote about this or I put it out in the universe. 10 years. My oldest daughter's 29. She just had her own spiritual awakening, so to speak, where she started, like really like living the way she was supposed to and doing all these things. And this one day she got all these blessings. Oh my God, Mom, it works. God is real. Yes, God is real. But then the hardest egg to crack is my 20-year-old. She just came out of this really bad relationship and she's fixing her life. And because the sister is doing it, not because I told her to, but because her sister's doing it, she's now listening to gospel and wow, I just feel really peaceful today, really calm today. You listen to gospel music all day, you know?
that's
So
awesome. Really is.
my path took 10 years of leading by example, and now I can see it coming to fruition for my girls.
That's beautiful, Donna. Thank you. I want to thank you, Donna, for being so open, for having such an interesting story, and for taking time out of what I know is a busy schedule to speak with me today. We're going to be throwing these up soon for people to watch, and people can
Cool.
learn about your company by going to Guppies, Guppies, the number two, Groupers, GROUPERS.com. There they'll find out that you're a Gibbonite, that you went to St. Coleman's,
Yes.
you have 9
Yes.
children and a grandchild, that you
yes.
and that they'll just find out a lot about you. And basically looking at going through your Facebook and seeing everyone who you had as like, I think we had like, we had 132 common friends on our fit.
Common
Yeah,
friends,
that
right.
was pretty nutty.
Right.
And my
Right,
best
right.
friend in the world was one of
Yeah.
them. But again, thank you so much, Donna.
So I went to school with Lisa, and Lisa's mother was my brownie troop leader,
I love Mrs.
Mrs.
Palazzolo.
Palazzolo.
She is
Yeah.
she is to this very day one of the best people I've ever met in my life. I was a nerd, so like we used to play Dungeons and Dragons at the house, and
Yeah,
We'd
yeah,
always have
yeah.
potato chips and Mountain Dew, and she still is amazing. Yeah, I'm very blessed that Miss Palazzolo was part of my life. I really am.
Yeah, yeah, she is. She's definitely a core memory for
No,
me.
that's awesome.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Donna.
Thank you so much. This is so cool.
My pleasure, Donna. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Florida Forge podcast. If today's conversation inspired you, share it with someone building their own legacy here in the great Sunshine State. Until next time, keep forging what's next for Florida, and we'll see you soon.